Well, welcome to Sunburnt Souls. On this show, we love to speak about life and faith and our mental well-being. And I'm super excited because I know today is going to be fun and engaging because I'm with my good friend Susie Holt, who has volunteered to come on the show. Susie, how are you?
Hey, I'm so good, Dave. It's good to see you.
Oh, it's good to be seen by you. Thank you. And I love that we're in your studio.
Yeah, at Juice 107.3. Now, we've been talking about doing this for a while, so it's actually nice that we're finally sitting down and having this conversation. We've had lots of conversations, but it's nice to have this one.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people listening who'll recognise your voice. You've been a radio personality on the Gold Coast and around the place for quite a long time.
Yeah.
How long will the Gold Coasters in the room, how many years total would they have been listening to you and your glorious laugh?
With about with about a year and a half break, I would say 13 years this year.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Good innings.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh,
it's been
yeah.
a while. 19 years altogether in the industry.
Oh, man.
Announcing.
That's amazing you're still going hard. You were gracious and let me come in for a few co-hosting sessions, and we had an awesome time. But, man, I went home gassed. I don't know how you do this in and out, year after year. It's hard.
Yeah, I know. And it's funny because I'm actually an introvert. On that measurement, I come out as an introvert. Something happens when you get me behind a microphone, though, and I'm able to talk here. I wish I could carry a microphone with me everywhere because you sit me in church, you put me in a situation where I'm meeting people for the first time, and I completely fall apart.
I mean, you could do it because I've seen weirder things in church. Like
That's true.
I once went to a church and there was a guy dressed as a sheep, but he had a wool car seat cover over his front and back and just kind of tied together because I think he'd heard the Bible call the people of God the sheep of Israel, and so he dressed like a sheep. So if he can do that, you can carry around a microphone.
Well, it's not uncommon for us to have a dog and a bird in our church on a Sunday.
Okay,
so, sure.
I mean, I get the dog because that's happened to us, but how's the bird get there? Like, is it a wild bird or does a lady have a parrot on her pocket?
She comes in on occasion, often ends up on her shoulder. It's lovely.
Isn't that cool? And you're all good with that? Just
all
having
good.
a bird in church?
Of course.
Yeah.
Come as you are. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Bring your birds to church. Southport, Cross Life
Baptist in Southport.
In Southport.
That's
Bring
my
your birds
church.
there and check it out. Suze, I really appreciate you taking time. As you know, because we've engaged a lot with Sunburnt Souls, this is a podcast about faith and mental well-being.
Yeah.
I would love to hear your faith story. Like, how did you meet Jesus in all of this?
I find this difficult to answer because I feel like I don't have real clarity of my own story in a way. I went to Sunday school as a kid. I wasn't raised by Christian parents, but they did take us to church when we were younger. As a matter of culture, you went to Sunday school, you went to church. And so I was sort of introduced to the church pretty young, and then they took us to Girls Brigade, which was attached to the Uniting Church in Caboolture, where I grew up. And so I continued going to church. Then there was a boy, Dave.
Oh.
There was a boy, and he went to church, and so I kept going to church. But I think it was actually because I went to church, I engaged a bit with the chaplain that we had at school, and he invited me to do a beach mission one summer. So I went and did that beach mission with him one summer, and I think that's where I started to realise there was a bit of a disconnect between going to church and actually having a relationship with Jesus. And so I'd probably say just before I entered university is where I took the step into an actual relationship with Jesus. And then I got involved with student life at Queensland University of Queensland, and was discipled through that organisation, through that group. And my discipler was Samantha. We're still in touch today. And she, it sort of introduced me to the early principles of actually following Jesus in relationship.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. You mentioned so many cool organisations that just do such a good job. Like even Beach Mission. I reckon at least once every few months I'll hear someone talk about Beach Mission.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, is it still going? I think it is, isn't it?
I think so. It was through Scripture Union when I did it many, 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 many years ago. And actually what was really cool about it was years later I reconnected with one of the girls that was camping at the site where we did Beach Mission. So she wasn't on our team. She was just one of the girls in the campground.
Oh, yeah.
And we're friends on Facebook now. It's nice.
It is. It's cool. And I love that you said before the mentor from then you're still in contact with.
Yeah, Samantha. Yeah, she was incredible because I was at university for 4 years, and that whole time she was my discipler and just really stood with me and has continued to in reality in my whole life. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
that's
an amazing
awesome.
woman.
That is so cool. I love just hearing stories of salvation because even the fact that your parents, I love that they weren't, it wasn't a church-going household, but they still drop you off at Sunday school. That generation just were like, okay, what can we do for free childcare? We'll just...
To be fair, we're still like that now, right?
Let's drop them at the church and take off, go to the beach for a couple hours.
They stayed. And actually my mum did sort of sporadically go to church, and she was connected with things like, what's the ministry that works through, it was through United, I can't remember what it was called, but she did some volunteer work through the church locally as well. Yeah.
She sounds like a legend, eh?
Yeah, she is amazing.
And now fast forward, you've got your own family, lots of guys.
I do, lots of guys. So I'm married to Luke. We've been married it'll be 23 years this year, 2026. We have 3 sons. So one, our eldest is Tyson, and then we have twins, Toby and Royden. Yeah. Getting towards the end of high school.
Getting towards the end of high school, so there's plenty of testosterone flying around the place. Yes. Does it ever end up in a Barney where Luke versus the kids just have to wrestle each other?
Well, less so Luke versus the kids versus each other. That's happening a bit.
But do the twins gang up? Are they like on the same team?
They are not on the same team at the moment.
So they bash each other.
Yeah, we've been going through it a bit at the moment because they've both hit, this puberty stage, and they're experiencing it differently. And so, there's some conflict in the house that we're navigating.
I can just picture them just listening to your line just then. Like, Mum, stop talking about our puberty on...
It's
everywhere.
Just teenage life.
Yeah, we all do it.
That's right.
We all do it.
Done that.
I love it. So you've been really encouraging, you've been playing some Ben Soul's clips and we've had so many chats about mental well-being, and you've even been real generous to get me in to speak about it and then air it. Tell us about your kind of like experience and understanding of, faith and mental health and how that all works.
So I grew up in a household. My mother was bipolar basically my whole life. She was diagnosed at some point when I was very young, before I remember. So my mum was medicated basically my whole life to keep it under control. I really appreciate my mum's modelling actually, because she was very intentional about keeping up her psychiatrist appointments, about keeping up the medication. She took her health very, very seriously, and consequently my sister and I were minimally impacted by her mental health. If I look back on it and I'm honest, I can remember a couple of times where I remember one instance in particular where Mum started laughing hysterically in the middle of the night, and I was listening to my dad respond to my mum and eventually say, I'm going to take you to the hospital. And so in the middle of the night, I remember Dad taking Mum to the hospital, and then she was hospitalised for quite a long time at that point. Outside of that, I don't have a lot of memories. But if I really think about it, as in at the time, I didn't particularly, it was just my norm. It's only as I look back on things now that I think I can see, Mum was high at that point, or Mum was really low at that point. And there's been stories that I've heard as an adult that I didn't know about at the time. And so Mum was, I think, really very intentional to give my sister and I a normal upbringing as a woman who was living with this significant mental health condition. You live with it yourself, so you know how significant it is. And so I really greatly appreciate how hard that must have been for her to do. For me personally, I think I have had a lot of undiagnosed mental health issues, and really I think part of it is fear. I think part of it is stubbornness. I think part of it is I don't want to live medicated like my mum.
Yeah.
And so I know I've had stints of significant depression, and I've never been medicated for that. I know that anxiety is something that has affected my life. And again, I haven't sought treatment for that. There was one time I went to my doctor feeling like I couldn't cope, and on that initial test, I was literally the highest you could be on stress, anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
And she sent me to a psychologist, and that actually... I found just simply sitting with a psychologist made big difference very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just quickly, shout out to your mum for living in a way that minimize the damage to you and your sister, because it is really prevalent, and it happens in my home as well, where my mania or whatever does negatively affect people. And not only does it negatively affect them in the moment, it then does again when you bring it up to try to get restoration, and you know what I mean? Like it's a cycle of heaviness. So, and I don't know, like the fact that even 90% of bipolar marriages don't make it meant she was obviously an astounding woman.
Well, and my dad as well. So my mum passed away at the beginning of last year, and he was just faithfully serving her to the end. He probably actually cared for her too long. She had Alzheimer's in the end. And I remember when we got her into a home, they were quite shocked at how far progressed she was. And that whole time, my dad had cared for her.
Wow.
So I think both of them are pretty extraordinary in reality. Yeah.
And you too, Suze. Like even you mentioned, you've had bouts where you feel like depression and anxiety's been hanging around. You're a great example of what possibly could be wrong in faith communities, is because we look at people. So I've seen you MC, the Gold Coast prayer breakfast, the Mayor's prayer breakfast. All the leaders on the entire Gold Coast in the faith communities, plus spouses, and it's kind of like it would be one of the hardest gigs. And you just smashed it out of the park year after year after year. And what people probably don't see is the effect that takes on people. Do you know what I mean? Like
you mean the beforehand crippling anxiety and stress beforehand?
It's crazy. Because I think sometimes we mistake the fact that people who are confident and competent mustn't have anything going on in the background. And so when I said it might be something we do wrong in the church, is sometimes we think there's something wrong with the quiet person and that the loud person's all good, but it's just not the case, man. Like there are so many nuances to this.
Well, that's exactly right. So my husband has ADHD, and one of the things that he's introduced me to as he's been learning about this, because he's fairly recently diagnosed in reality, just in probably the last 3 or so years. And one of the things he's talked about is this idea of masking, right? And aren't we good at that, right? And I don't think it's confined to the church. I think all of us humans are trying to portray that we're okay.
Yeah.
And part of that is, I think, this kind of culture where where we're comparing ourselves all of the time, and so we want to be as okay as the next person. Part of it, I think, is this strange story that started, and I don't even know where it started, this idea that we need to be strong for the people around us.
Yeah.
I think that's debilitating so many people. And I think part of it is sometimes just we think this is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
We think we're supposed to stay, like we're supposed to look this way, so if I look this way, people will think I am this way.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of it too. Maybe we're trying to convince ourselves, like, as a man thinketh, so he is. Like maybe if I behave this way, I'll be able to convince myself that I actually am okay.
And so Luke with his ADHD, does he mind talking about that?
No, he's happy to talk about it,
Yeah, cool.
It's been a great diagnosis for him. I think he's felt like he felt like there was something wrong with him for a really long time, that he just didn't fit in, and I think it helped to frame and understand himself a lot better. Yeah, it's been good.
And so it seems, and I don't know if I'm right on this, but there's 2 types where there's inattentive ADHD and hyperactive ADHD. Do you know which way Luke
He's
would
inattentive.
Yeah. And so what is that? So does that mean like you might be in the middle of a discussion and he'll just like drift out of the discussion, or what does it look like on a practical level for you guys?
Do you know what it looks like on a practical level for us? Is this incredible hyper-focus is probably the thing that I see the most.
Yeah.
This huge hyper-focus and then abandonment. So this has been one of the struggles that we've had in our marriage, is that he'll get hyper-focused on this new concept and then give everything to it, and he'll invest in it financially and invest in it time-wise and then just abandon partway through. And he's also completely unaware of time. So that means that he can start talking and he can go for a very long time and not realise that he's not taken a breath. But he does get very excited about things.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very passionate person in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But that'd be interesting for you guys, because you go to this job where you speak, and probably want to go home. You mentioned earlier you're an introvert. Maybe just a cup of tea and a lay on the couch would be enough. But then he's probably like, yes, Susie's here, let's chat.
Yeah. Yes. And so we've learnt to sort of find those times and specifically make appointments for that. So we work together in business, and we've worked together on radio. A long time of my radio career has been Luke and Susie. And so we've learnt to create appointments for things. So I know in this job that I'm in now, where I'm doing radio separate to him, I get home and I do have space to myself, particularly when the kids are at school. I get home, the house is empty, and I take time then. But he'll say, we need to have a meeting and schedule the time. And so I've got time to prepare myself for what I need. And he does as well, have time to prepare himself for what he actually wants to communicate. It's
pretty good because that's a working framework, rather than fight each other.
Yeah. Oh, we fought each other a long time and got frustrated with each other. Yeah. And, we've had to learn, actually, even just in the last few years, some different communication methods. Do you know I don't know if this is relevant to what we're talking about, but I'll tell you it anyway. One of the things that we realised, because Luke had psychological appointments along the way as well. He's a brilliant psychologist. And one of the things that he realised is that he grew up in an environment that was so highly emotional that when I start speaking emotionally, he freaks out and immediately gets defensive and wants to leave. And so we've had to learn a whole new way of communicating as we've both been learning things through, meeting with psychologists and learning more about ourselves. We've had to change how we communicate. Our marriage looks very different now than it did right at the start, as they often do.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you reckon you needed to learn that as a teenager and a bit longer with mum with bipolar? Because I know sometimes people need to placard me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, placate. I think as I look back now, I do wonder if I've been, and a lot of people do, struggled with the people pleaser. And it was only maybe a couple of years ago that I heard someone say that is the defense mechanism of the person raised in a household where they need to keep the peace. And I don't particularly thinking logically about my home, I didn't feel like I needed to keep the peace. I felt like we had pretty good relationships, but I wonder if there was this part of me that was working hard to keep that, because I was always very aware that mum had this diagnosis. And so what was the question?
I couldn't remember the word, so you helped me out. I said, does anyone have to placard you?
Oh, yeah.
How do you say it?
Placate.
Placate.
Yeah.
Accommodate for your, in advance, hypervigilance and stuff.
Yeah. And I think, I reckon I've done that a lot. Is create a space that's safe for everybody else, and maybe that's helped contribute to my own mental health challenges along the way.
Because that can be exhausting.
Yeah.
And especially then you practice it there, then take it to work, and there's a whole team that you're doing it to, and then you take it to a Christian event, and there's a whole group,
Yeah, and it can be tiring. The consequence of that, I've been in this career for a really long time. Before that, I've been in Christian work a lot. So I went to the mission field straight out of university. Then I worked for World Vision. Then I worked for a church, and I've been in Christian media for a really, really long time. But in the midst of all of that, I felt like it's been a struggle for me to actually know who I am. And I was very confronted by that, meeting my husband and marrying Luke, because he was very clear on who he was. He knows what he likes and what he doesn't like. He's unapologetic about the things that he wants to do and how he wants to spend his time and what he enjoys. Whereas I always feel like I have to creep around and get permission from the people around me to do the things that I want to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's layers there, hey? So many of the things that form us as young crew.
Yeah.
I think that's why I really appreciate psychiatrists and psychologists and counsellors, because to unpack this stuff is complex.
Yeah.
It
really is. And I think about it now as a parent, because, they talk about how a large portion of our issues trace back to how we were parented. And I think, what am I creating in my kids?
Well, I heard a really famous speaker say that all parents mess up all kids every time.
Yeah. Right.
That was his advice. We all do stuff that messes up our kids.
Yeah.
And especially if we're dealing with our own unprocessed emotions or unprocessed mental health conditions or whatever. Do you ever get scared, because bipolar is quite biological and hereditary? Do you ever get scared that it's gotten onto you or your kids or anything?
100%. 100%. Yeah, strangely, I haven't concerned with my children because they've been relatively consistent, but actually maybe I do a little bit now with my oldest. Now he's sort of come through the other side of puberty. I think I do see those highs and lows hit a little bit. Certainly in myself. I know I have times where I am all energy and my house is spotless.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, I can't bring myself to clean the kitchen or the toilet one more time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I do see the flow of that in my own behaviour. How much of that is mental health? How much of that is how I caught, you
learn behaviour.
I learnt the behaviour growing up. I didn't particularly grow up in a clean household. But yeah, I do probably in reality concern a bit about it.
Yeah. I know for myself I'm concerned too. Like I do my best to pray against it and disciple the kids and we get help, but it's such a strongly linked biological mental health condition. Do you know what's crazy is there's this piece of information that says if you have bipolar, you don't necessarily have to have children with bipolar. So it doesn't mean they will definitely have it. But if you have it, chances are one of your parents did.
Oh, so have you been on that journey?
A little bit. And yeah, I don't even think my parents listen to this podcast, which is good because I'm about to say that probably both of them could qualify. When you think about some of the actions from our childhood and stuff, I'm like, I was almost like a shut-in case. There was like no way I wasn't going to end up with something messing with me mentally, but biologically, like environmentally, you know what I mean? And so as I'm aware of it now, I do spend a fair bit of time thinking about how to be better for my kids. And even if I messed it up a bit with my kids because I was early in the journey, how can I be better for their kids?
Yeah.
Because it's like it does encompass the whole family, right? And it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. And this is the thing. I think one of the things when it comes to the statement you made before about all parents mess up all kids all the time, I think the thing we need to do as parents, the things we need to be mindful of then is how can we participate in the healing?
Sorry to interrupt, but if Sunburnt Souls has helped you or blessed you in any way, can I please ask a favour? Could you please tell somebody about it or repost a link or bring it up over dinner with a mate? As a small podcast, we grow by word of mouth and we don't have a big budget for advertising, but we know there's so many people out there that are walking with their own faith and mental illness, or they're supporting someone else who's also walking with their own mental health issues. It'll cost you about 30 seconds to promote or share a link, but the outcome in someone else's life could really be super positive. So thanks so much. Let's get back to the episode. Yes.
Right, so when they get to that point of adulthood and they might start to recognise things that we as parents did in their life that didn't help them and didn't help them thrive, how can we actually be humble and hear that and participate and apologise if we need to and actually participate in the healing versus continuing to to be a problem. And I think even in your experience, it might be tough, and I know it's hard and you see some impacts in your kids, but the conversation's open. And I think that's really important, right? Is that communication line is open with our children and they get a place where they actually can confront us and challenge us and say the hard things to us where we need to hear it. Yeah. I think that's important.
I think so. And I think you definitely carry that grace, Suze, where you would be open to your children coming with it. Because I think so many of us are like, who are you talking to me like that? I'm a parent. Mate, I know I'm just as broken as anybody else. So if they need to come with an attitude of humility and hit me up, I've got to take that.
Yeah, I've been very blessed with my firstborn. He's he's wise beyond his years and always has been. He's kind of strange because he's a teenage boy. So he's still a teenage boy. But he, even from quite young, was really good at challenging decisions that Luke and I made. I remember one time, probably one of my favourites was actually against Luke, not me.
Good.
But we were at Dreamworld and we wanted him to go on a ride because he's not a very adventurous spirit, but we were trying to foster this adventurous spirit. And it was just the swing, you know, that bit, the one that goes round and round. Yeah. But it is off the ground a little bit and it has a bit of speed to it. And we wanted him to go on that swing and he didn't want to go on it. He did want, but he wanted fairy floss. And so we said, if you go on the ride, we'll get you fairy floss. And he really threw one of the biggest tantrums, if not the biggest tantrum we've ever seen him throw ever. And eventually, when he was able to calm himself down, he, at whatever age he was, it must have been maybe 10 or 11, was able to articulate that you've put me in a situation where I can't win. Either I don't go on the ride and I don't get the fairy floss, or I have to do something that I really, really don't want to do. And I remember Luke was amazing in how he responded to that, and he took it to heart, and he just hugged Luke and apologised. And Luke's Tyson's always been really good at actually stopping us every so often and saying, "Wait a second, that's actually not fair." Yeah, and so it probably helps in my situation.
It's a really good story, and God bless you and Luke for hugging him rather than making him, or I think sometimes, man, when we mess up as parents, that's that moment. Hey, just to hug him and love him. And just to bring him in. Because we got to put ourselves back at 15 and 10 and what was going through our minds when that stuff was happening. And how did we handle it? Probably not the same as them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was kicking off tantrums well into my 40s.
Yeah.
But certainly through those teenage years. Yeah. I was a stinker. Yeah.
Well, Susie, what's your hope for the next, the next season in your life? What do you want to see the Lord do, with you and through you and all of that?
Yeah, great question. I think, I've been thinking about this a bit recently because I've got a couple of girlfriends and I and Luke as well went to the Kingdom Business Summit. So we just went
that was over the weekend.
Yeah, we just went through this kind of experience together, and in the midst of that, the three of us were kind of, sending voice messages to each other and sharing some of the things that we learned, but we also were sharing about some of the things that we want to grow in. I think for me, one of the things that has been challenging for me at the moment is recognizing how much fear has driven my choices, and recognizing how much I haven't really understood God's kingdom purpose for me. And if I have understood it, I haven't owned it and claimed it. And I think I want to grow in confidence and understanding who I was created to be and what I was created for. And I want to get more fearless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, they're really good goals.
Yeah, thanks. Do you have some for you?
I've got a few things. I think for me, I just want to find peace again. I think I have grown in a lot of information and getting to share stuff and that. But often it does still come from a place of being quite frantic and, when you meet those people that are a non-anxious presence and they just kind of are they just seem happy to be alive. It's like they don't need anything. They're just doing themselves, and I think that I would love to see a bit more of that come through in my life. I think my family would appreciate that as well. I can sometimes just wreck the vibe of the household just because I'm feeling a bit manic. Everyone's chilling. My son could be playing guitar, my daughter reading a book, my wife reading a book. And then I just come in and hey, everyone, we're going to do this. And come on, get your stuff. We're going to the beach. And they're like, dude, can't we just be? Yeah. And so I think that's my next lesson, is just to let them be. They're a bit, they're at an age, they're similar age to your kids. Mine are 15 and 17. So, they're at an age where, I just want to disciple them, but also let them grow in their own kind of walk with God as well.
That's brilliant. That's really good. Learn to read the room. That's a challenging, isn't it? Challenging thing to do.
Oh, yeah. The amount of things I've done where I've just wrecked their vibe. But they're starting to say something now, like Tyson did with you guys. Yeah. They're starting to say something.
It's good. I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, Susie, we could speak for weeks. I know we could.
Easily.
Because I love working with you here at Juice and seeing what you and the team do here. You're a blessing to the Gold Coast and beyond. And so, I just want to thank you, and I want to thank you for taking time to come and tell your story. But what I'd really love for you to do, if you don't mind, is to pray for people today who are listening. We always ask our guests to pray, and specifically for them to grow in the same ways you're growing, and for God to keep blessing you and them the same way. Do you know what I mean? Like for his heart to pour out on these people. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's pray then.
Let's do it.
Oh, Father God, I just thank you so much for who you are and for your goodness to us. I want to thank you that you're working to draw us to be more like you. And the you that I imagine is one who is anxiety-free, who is a person free of mental health challenges, and who lives in that joy, that peace. Well, all the fruits of the Spirit, love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control, that is how all of us are striving and wanting to live in that place. And Father, as we become more and more like you, I just ask that you'll be showing us who you created us to be, what you have purposed us each for, what it is that you have in store for us, but who you created us to be, how you created us to interact in the world. Lord, even though we want to obviously get as much of our reward in heaven as possible, I just ask that you'll show each and every person tuning in right now, to Dave and to me as well, just give us glimpses of the fruit of who you created us to be, that we might start to actually be genuinely okay with ourselves, because we can see how you use us when we settle into just who we are and who you created us to be. Father, for parents among us, I just ask that you'll help us to be living in ways where we are seeking what is best for our children, that help us to be humble, to listen, to accept when we've got things wrong, to allow ourselves to be forgiven by them, and allow ourselves to forgive ourselves when we've stuffed up along the way as well, which we're going to do. And for each one of us who have parents who have struggled, and for the impacts that that's had on us, Lord, help us to forgive completely, and to be able to let go of anything that we might be using as an excuse to stop us from fulfilling who you created us to be. All of that aside, put aside all of those excuses and just focus on who you purposed us to be, because we know that it is for good. Thank you so much for this time together today. And we just ask, Lord, that you will just throw favour on every person tuning in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.